This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, SnapEd Nutrition Educator with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and today I'll be showing you how to make hearty mashed potatoes. With the holidays right around the corner, it can be hard to find a balance between healthy eating and enjoying your traditional family favorites. One way to get the right mix to be healthier now and in the future is by making small changes to the recipes that you already love. For me, a holiday favorite is potatoes. Mashed, twice baked, roasted, any style, any way. If there's potatoes, I'm usually pretty happy. But even though potatoes are a vegetable and they contribute to our goal of making half of our plate fruits and vegetable, adding a lot of solid fat like butter or a lot of sodium through salt can turn this healthy vegetable into a not so healthy dish. So I'm guessing you're probably wondering by now how I'm going to make mashed potatoes healthy while still making them creamy and flavorful. Stick around and you'll find out. To make 6 servings of hearty mashed potatoes, we will need about 2 pounds of potatoes. So that's either 4 medium-sized potatoes, or if you're using larger ones like mine, it's about 2 of these. Feel free to use any type that you like. Today I do have russet potatoes, but I often go for the Yukon Gold for their buttery smooth texture. Unfortunately, in my grocery store, those only came in a 5-pound bag that I don't really have the space for, and I'm only feeding a house of 2, so I don't really need that many potatoes. Instead, I bought my russet potatoes individually to cut on costs. If your house is a full house, or maybe you have a larger kitchen, or you're using these potatoes for another dish, the bulk bag might be a better deal. So choose what fits best for you. Next is my special ingredient. So usually when we're talking about making a healthy meal, we want to include at least 2 of the 5 food groups. With our potatoes, we only really have vegetables. So to make it a little bit balanced and more nutritious, we're actually going to add a protein. And no, not your traditional animal protein like bacon or chicken, even though those might sound good. This unique protein is 1, typically cheaper than those animal proteins, and 2, it's actually also a vegetable. Any guesses? If not, here it is. Our secret ingredient is 1 15-ounce can of garbanzo beans. I know, beans and potatoes, not your traditional recipe, but garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas, tend to have a mild and nutty flavor. And they're the key ingredient in hummus, which tends to be smooth and creamy in texture, like our mashed potatoes should be. So this type of bean should seamlessly blend in, and you might not even know they're there after we add the rest of our ingredients, which are half a cup of low-fat milk, a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and black pepper to taste. Again, this recipe will make about 6 servings. 1 serving is 1 cup. Before starting, wash your hands with warm water and soap for at least 20 seconds, and then rinse your vegetables. So with our potatoes, rinse them under cool running water, and if you have a vegetable brush, you can use that to scrub off any extra dirt. And same thing goes with our canned goods. So open and drain your can of beans, then give it a good rinse. A lot of the time, canned food can have a lot of sodium. So to limit that, we want to rinse our beans, or another way is to use dried beans. You will have to spend a little bit more time soaking and cooking them before using, but they tend to have a lot less sodium and are cheaper per pound. By limiting sodium in these small ways, over time, it can make a big difference in your heart health. And finally, for our dairy products, just make sure you're checking the expiration dates and for signs of spoilage before using. If this is only one of many recipes that you're making this holiday season, one way to prevent accidents and to limit stress is to practice mise en place. This is an old French saying that means everything in its place. Mashed potatoes are supposed to be a simple and easy dish, and we don't want to complicate that. So to make it easier on ourselves, make sure all your ingredients are measured out beforehand and your cooking equipment and utensils are cleaned and ready to go. That way we're not running around and looking for things later and potentially burning our mash. So for this recipe, we will need 1 large pot or saucepan, a cutting board, a knife, a fork, and a potato masher or hand beaters. Now all we have to worry about is our potatoes. Usually, whenever I can, I like leaving my potato skins on, since most of the nutrients, like fiber, are located here. So instead of tossing them away, here are some other options. 1, leave the skins on. This looks especially good when you use red potatoes since the red skins offer a pop of color. 2, use peeled skins in another dish, like a soup. 3, roast them in the oven as an appetizer or a crunchy topping. Or 4, make twice baked potatoes, where you remove the insides of a cooked baked potato, mash and season it like we are today, and then put it back into the skin and bake it a second time. Once the skins are off, next we can cut our potatoes into large chunks. This can save you time in the kitchen since a cut potato will cook a lot faster than a whole potato. Just be sure to make each chunk about the same size so they cook evenly. And try not to make them too small since this can cause them to absorb too much water when boiling and stop them from soaking up the rest of our ingredients. With our potatoes cut, we finished the last step of our mise en place, so it's time to start cooking. In your large saucepan or pot, place your potato chunks and cover it with water. Drain the water to a boil over high heat. I just learned this recently, but we actually don't want to boil our water in advance. The hot water will cause the outside of the potato to cook quicker than the insides, leaving you with an unevenly cooked potato. To avoid that, bring them to a boil together, like we're doing today. As you wait for it to boil, this could be a good time to clean up or tend to any other recipes you may have in the works. Just make sure to keep an eye on it, and once it boils, reduce it to a simmer. 10 minutes after the potatoes start cooking, add your garbanzo beans and continue to cook for about 20 minutes or so until the potatoes are fork tender. Like I mentioned before, beans are a unique food, falling under the protein and the vegetable food group. So while many people consider beans a vegetarian alternative to meat, their high nutrient content actually makes them a great addition to any dish, whether it traditionally includes meat or not. With our potatoes tender, drain the liquid and place the pot back onto the stove. After that, let's move on to our next step, mashing. Using a potato masher or hand beaters, mash your potatoes and beans. This is where these two ingredients are going to start blending together. Next, add the half a cup of low-fat milk and a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. Try to let these come to room temperature before adding, since it'll make it a lot easier to blend everything together. And again, by choosing low fat and low sodium dairy, we're limiting the saturated fat and sodium we mentioned before. At this time, also mix in your quarter teaspoon of garlic powder and a little bit of black pepper. When it comes to adding any seasoning, remember you can always add more later or at the table, but you can't really take it away. With all our ingredients in our pot, everything should be blending together, so keep on mashing. And soon enough, picky eaters might not even notice our secret ingredient or that they're getting a boost of protein. Just be careful not to overwork your potatoes for too long, since this can cause them to become gummy and sticky in texture. Once everything is mashed to your preferred consistency, turn off your stove, move your mash to a bowl, let it cool, and there you have it, hearty mashed potatoes. I know this isn't our traditional mashed potato recipe, but from the look, taste, and texture, I wouldn't really know any different. And now we're getting a bunch of extra nutrients like fiber and protein. As you can see, you don't have to choose between being healthy and enjoying your holiday favorites. You can do both. Because finding a healthy eating pattern and maintaining it for a lifetime doesn't mean skipping out on your favorite food or breaking the bank. It's all about making small changes, like finding the best deals on the ingredients you need, being creative and trying new foods or recipes, and varying your protein routine to include beans, which are fairly inexpensive all year round. Because I already had my milk on hand, to make this recipe, which has 6 servings, I only spent less than $8. So for this holiday season, find what small changes fit best into your life to save you time, money, and eat healthy. And try to make your meal a My Plate meal by including most of the 5 food groups. For hearty mashed potatoes, 1 serving is actually only 1 cup. So what else can you add to make this a more balanced meal? Might I suggest a serving of kale and nuts and raisin to add in some fruit, get more vegetables and protein. But however you decide to enjoy your hearty mashed potatoes, thank you so much for joining me. And for more holiday recipes like this, check out our website, snapedny.org, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And remember, small changes can make a big difference. So how else can you vary your protein this holiday season?
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material is funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.